In this video, I intend to look at multiplication of natural numbers by 0. There are three cases that we would need to examine. 0 being the multiplicand, 0 being the multiplier, and 0 times 0. I'll take examples to examine the cases. I'll start with the first case, 0 being the multiplicand. As an example, let us take 3 times 0. Here 0 is the multiplicand. We know that this is the same as 0 plus 0 plus 0, that is 0 added to itself 3 times. We had nothing to begin with and we added nothing a couple of more times. Obviously, we'll end up with nothing. Hence, 3 times 0 equals 0. It is easy to see that this argument can be extended to say that any natural number, which I will write as nn for short, times 0 equals 0. Now, let us take the case where 0 is the multiplier. Say 0 times 3. If we try to think of this as 3 added to itself 0 times, it doesn't seem to make much sense, right? So let me take a concrete example to examine this. Say I go to a classroom where I plan to give 3 apples to each child, and so I carry a bag full of apples with me. On reaching the classroom, I find that there are no children. So obviously, I will not use any of the apples that I am carrying with me. Now, had there been 4 children and had I given 3 apples to each child, I would have used up 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 apples, which can be written as 4 times 3 apples, where 4 is the number of children and 3 is the number of apples that each child gets. Instead of 4, had there been 3 children, I would have used up 3 times 3 apples. If I reduce the class size further to 2, I would end up using 2 times 3 apples. And for one child, we would have 1 times 3 apples being used. But I found no or 0 children. So I can say that I have used up 0 times 3 apples. But we already know that we have not used up any apple. So 0 times 3 equals 0. We can extend this argument to any natural number, that is 0 times a natural number equals 0. Let us now see what happens when both the multiplier and the multiplicand are 0. That is, what is 0 times 0. Again, this is best examined using a concrete example. As before, I go to a classroom expecting to meet some children. This time, I don't have plans to give any apples to any child. So, irrespective of the number of children I meet, I will not use up any apples. If I meet 3 children and I give no apples, that is 0 apples to each child, I will not use up any apples. And I can say 3 times 0 is 0. We already saw this earlier when we examined what happens when the multiplicand is 0. Now, if there are only 2 children, I will end up using 2 times 0 apples, but that is also 0. With 1 child, I will end up using 1 times 0 apples, which is also 0. What if I don't meet any children? extending this argument, I can say that I will need 0 times 0 apples. And since I don't use any apples, this also equals 0. So 0 times 0 equals 0. From what we have seen so far, we can say that any natural number times 0 equals 0. 0 times any natural number equals 0. And 0 times 0 also equals 0. So we can say that multiplication by 0 yields 0 as the answer. In this video, we examined what happens when we multiply by 0. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching.